Welcome to Reconnecting with Wholeness, the podcast where we dive deep into the messy, beautiful journey of coming home to yourself. I'm your host, Paige, and together we'll gently question everything, bringing you deeper into self-awareness, acceptance, and trust. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Hello, welcome back. So I know that last week I had made a comment about discussing the nervous system today, but we actually, in fact, are not going to do that. We will get to the nervous system, but at another point in time. I have been feeling very called to hold space for a deeper conversation around connecting in with beliefs before we move on to any future topics. So today that's what I want to do. And this conversation is really kind of going to take place in two parts, right? Which is awareness around what it is that you believe. And okay, now that I've identified what I believe, now what? So moving forward with part one of the conversation, what do you believe? There's really two components to this, right? There is the conscious beliefs, and then there are the subconscious beliefs. So those conscious beliefs are going to probably be things like your political stance, your faith or spirituality if you have one. I think how we act and interact with money is both conscious and subconscious. There's a lot of underlying beliefs in really all of the realms, right? That are just in the subconscious. I'm going to try to keep it semi-clear and concise and give you some examples, right? So some conscious beliefs, right, might be I believe in God or gods and goddesses, higher power. I'm atheist. I don't believe that in any of that. Some conscious belief might be I believe that bad things happen to good people. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I am trying to think of other things that people say. Some of these like cliches that we hear, like everything happens for a reason, is actually like an underlying belief, and that might not be something that is a belief that you hold, but it is a belief of, I'm going to say, like the collective. And so it's interesting when you look at some of the cliches from that standpoint. Whether you personally agree and align with those or not. This purpose of connecting with beliefs isn't to judge them, it's just to identify them, right? All of our beliefs, whether we know it or not, have served us at some point for some reason. And so really just opening ourselves up to say, okay, what is it that I believe? And as you kind of move through, whether you want to talk about topics or relationships, however you want to do this is fine, right? We can say, okay, what do I believe in regards to religion? What do I believe in regards to love? What do I believe in regards to money, right? And some of those, obviously, whatever is in your consciousness, whatever you say, those are going to be the first things, right? So some people hold the belief that love conquers all, right? That might be one of the things. That in itself is, I'm going to say, kind of a neutral conversation, right? Like, I don't know that I want to use the term conversation, but it's like really a neutral piece, right? Versus other beliefs, maybe like, I guess I'm just going to stick with all beliefs are neutral, because I think it's just our perspective that makes them good or bad. And they all serve a purpose for us, right? So if you hold a belief that people are inherently bad and sometimes do good things. Like, that serves you because it creates this awareness or a safety of, like, people are bad, and so it's a protection mechanism, right? Like, that's all that it is, versus somebody who says, I believe that people are good and sometimes do bad things. They're not necessarily having that same safety mechanism, and the beliefs are fundamentally different, but neither of those beliefs are good or bad. They are just serving a purpose. I hope this makes sense. Anyway, so today I invite you, if you want, to take out pen and paper, journal, grab your phone, write some stuff down, type some stuff out, or just keep it in your mind, right? But the question is, like, what do you believe? Whether that is in any topic. This isn't limited to religion or politics or money, but you can talk about fame and fortune and success. Like, what are those things, right? Define them a little more. And then I really invite you to look at your thoughts as a reflection of your beliefs and say, what are the things that I just say or I just think? And allow those to highlight some of the deeper beliefs that you have. So I'm kind of using our thoughts as a mirror to our beliefs to get to that subconscious. I think I shared this in the last podcast episode, but one of mine, and I would say it regularly, is nobody ever listens to me anyway, right? That is a reflection of a deeper belief that I held. And so you don't have to necessarily get to the belief. I'm just saying, allow yourself to be open to some of those things you say all the time. We do this a lot with money. Money is a perfect example. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for your money. Those are thoughts that we have and beliefs around money, right? Both of those are thoughts that reflect a deeper belief that money is hard to come by. There is work that has to happen in order for money to be received. And in a lot of ways, those also serve us, whether they serve us in remaining where we are or they serve us in all I have to do to get money is to work hard. It makes it semi-tangible in order to receive money. And so allow yourself over, ideally the next week until my next podcast episode, but allow yourself to really be aware of your thoughts and the things that come out of your mouth, and are they somehow highlighting or revealing a deeper belief that you have there. I'm not saying analyze every single statement that you make. By no means am I saying that. But still, you can use this as, okay, I said this, and that's really showing me that I believe this. I was trying to think of another example. When you have a bad experience with somebody, what's your first reaction? People are always out to get me, right? That's a thought to a deeper belief. And or maybe that's the belief itself, is that people are always out to get you, right? When good things happen to you, what's the thought and the belief? It's a fluke. Don't know how that happened, just really lucky, right? That also is a thought that reveals a deeper belief. And so, again, I just really want to offer this invitation to connect deeper with the beliefs that you hold. Because the thing is if we don't know those beliefs that we hold, then it's really hard to change them. And what I find, especially in like a lot of coaching realms and even spiritual realms, is that people try to change the thoughts without changing the beliefs. And I think that thought work definitely has its place. If you're not familiar with thought work, I suggest you become familiar with it, right? And at the same time, I don't think that thought work is a substitute or the cure for changing beliefs and upgrading those. Thought work is really about, at the very least, neutralizing some of our thoughts. I read this book, I believe it's like Everyone Should Be a Millionaire, but don't quote me on that. She talks about thought work, and she talks about like neutralizing it, and she uses the example of, instead of saying these jeans are too small, say these jeans don't fit me, right? And all of our, I'm gonna go here anyway. I don't know how many people remember like science class in high school, right? But we talked about, at least in my school, we talked about the parts of an atom, right? And you have protons, electrons, and neutrons. And your protons and electrons are charged. And so if we think about thoughts the same way, right? There is a charge to everything. Is that positive, negative, or neutral? And we can use that as good, bad, or neutral, whatever, right? You can assign what is good and bad, what is positive and negative. I will like be the judge for yourself. But the same thing is happening with our thoughts, right? And so when we get into a lot of positive mindset, it is, okay, well, don't, if you want to use my body example, right? These jeans are too small. They don't fit me. Right? For me, like they don't fit actually has a negative charge because I put the blame on me, right? And so it's like they don't fit me. And so like I'm still the problem versus somebody else that might be a very neutral statement, right? And so mine would have to just be, I need a bigger size or I need a different size, right? But a lot of like your positive mindset approach will be changing those thoughts into, how do I have a more positive one? There's a lot of different ways that people can go about this, whether it's changing like the actual thought itself and rewording it, or whether it's like for every negative thought that you have, say 3 good things. There are different approaches, as there are different approaches in everything. I feel like I've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, but to bring it back to beliefs, right? Like if my thoughts are these jeans don't fit, right? There's probably a deeper belief about my body that I am unsatisfied with rather than just the thought itself. And so I can change that thought, but if I never actually work on that belief either, then I'm only doing half of what needs to happen. So once you've identified some of the beliefs that you hold, right? Whether, again, that's about your body, love, money, the world as a whole, whatever. The question becomes, okay, now I've identified these, now what? Now what do I do? And the first thing is going to be, does this serve you? Does this serve you? And more specifically, does this serve you in where you want to go? I said this before, but every belief that we have has served us something. It's done something for us. And I'm not even going to go into like, try to figure out why you have it. Just, does it serve you and where you want to go and what it is that you're wanting to do? If you're wanting to create more abundance in your life, then potentially having the belief that you have to work hard for money doesn't actually serve you in relation to where you want to go, right? You're like, I want to do more. I want to have more, right? But I can't maybe necessarily work harder. So then now we're moving into, okay, this is a belief that we want to shift out of or upgrade or change or transform in some way, versus a belief that we're like, nah, like I'm good. This actually does still serve me. I want to leave it alone and keep it as is. So for yourself, go through whatever beliefs that you wrote down and say, okay, does this serve me in where I'm wanting to go? Does this serve me in love? Does this serve me in my relationship with my body? Does this serve me in the career that I have, or the wealth that I'm looking to create, or the success that I'm wanting. Any aspect, right? This is kind of a universal practice. And so, for example, if we're talking about love, right? If you believe that people are always wanting something in return to giving you something, that might not necessarily serve you in where you're wanting to go in your love relationships, right? Because you're seeing everything as transactional underneath, from a subconscious level or from a belief level, whether you consciously recognize that or not. Now, there are times where, like, it's good to have a potential belief that everything is transactional, and that when somebody gives you something, that they're looking for something in return. The question isn't, is there a problem with the belief? The question is it useful for you right now? And again, especially if you're looking at where it is that you want to go, is it useful to help get you to where it is that you want to be? I had a thought somewhere along the way, and I forgot it. Yeah, still gone. Oh well, maybe it'll come next time. But once you've identified those beliefs and you've said, okay, yes, I want to keep these, and or these are the ones that I want to upgrade, that's when you can start to really like do some work in terms of, okay, now maybe we tap on them. Now maybe we do like a journey around them. Oh, that was the thing that I was going to say. So in terms of things being useful for a while, and is it going to get you where you want to go? People pleasing is actually one of my like favorite examples of this, which is that when we are in our, I'm going to say like infancy to adolescence, right? There is a point in time in all of our lives that we rely on other people for our survival. And so people pleasing is a natural tendency. It is a survival mechanism that is meant because we understand that if the person who is caring for us doesn't like us enough, love us enough, accept us enough, right, that we will, like, that's it. That's all, folks. There's like this inherent understanding that was too many that's. There's this inherent understanding that we depend on the people around us to care for us, right? So it doesn't mean that you're not going to have difficult kids, or you're not going to have difficult babies, or they're not going to cry all of the time, right? But even still, people pleasing is a survival tendency. It's a survival mechanism because it means I need these people to like me enough so that way they continue to feed me, they continue to house me, they continue to keep me warm, right? And then at some point in our lives, people pleasing no longer becomes a survival mechanism, especially in today's day in society, because we don't live in tribes like we used to. I mean, maybe some people do, but here in America, like, we don't live in tribes like we used to. We don't really have a ton of communal living. And so you're not worried about like being exiled and having to try to like make it on your own. Instead, it still manifests, and it will manifest as maybe like, well, I can't say the things that I want to say because I have to work this job and I still need a paycheck, when in reality, like, you can get a different you can't get a different paycheck, but what I really was going to say was you can get a job elsewhere. You can try to start your own company. You can do a lot of things at least here in the US for now. But there becomes a place where people pleasing, even though at the beginning was for survival, it really becomes a hindrance. And it's that hindrance that like you want to, when it starts to hinder you, and when you start to like, now I'm doing things for other people and I'm not really living the life that I want to live, and I'm not really doing the things that I want to do, and I'm not really saying the things that I want to say, like that's where you then need to start saying, okay, this people pleasing, and people have a lot of different definitions for that, this isn't really helping me anymore. This isn't serving me anymore. This isn't useful for me anymore. And so it's time to get out of this and to move into something else. And we're, in essence, doing the same thing with all of our beliefs, right? We're saying, this served me, and it was perhaps protection, perhaps survival, perhaps growth, whatever that is. And now it's not. And so we want to get something different. This is going to sound really irrational as a thought process, but it is where my mind went. So I'm going to use this as an example. My husband and I got a new washer yesterday, and we are renting from family, and the washer that we were using is not working right now. And they had a repairman come out, take a look, and it was just one of those things where like it was going to be another like week and a half and before anything was fixed. And my husband and I were like, you know what, we have the money, we want this kind of done and dealt with. We at some point are going to have have to buy our own washer and dryer anyway. And so we went out and we bought one. And it is bigger. Of course it's newer, because it was brand new. But it's newer, it's bigger, it's perhaps a little bit fancier. And it serves its purpose, right? Where the other washer wasn't. It just wasn't serving its purpose anymore, right? It was able to wash the clothes, but then the clothes were like sopping wet. And my whole point is I know I'm using like technology as far as a washer. Well, I guess that's maybe not exactly technology, but I hate using the term broken, so I won't say that like the washing machine broke, because it's still like repairable, it's still fixable, it is still usable, right? But it wasn't serving the purpose that we wanted it to serve, and it wasn't doing it efficiently for us, right? And so we upgraded, quite literally, our washer to something that is serving us and that will work for us and that is efficient. And we're in essence doing the same thing with our beliefs here. So with that all being said, I feel good. I feel complete. I hope that you actually take this and apply it in some ways. I hope that you bring in awareness around your beliefs, that you are able to really judge for yourself and discern for yourself what is useful for you and where you're going and where you want to be and what isn't. And then start working on that. Start working on rewiring some of those beliefs. That is all for today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me today on Reconnecting with Wholeness. I invite you to take what resonated and explore how it shows up in your own life. Keep in mind, even the smallest shifts can spark transformation. If today's episode felt valuable for you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share it, leave a review, or connect with me on social media. Until next time, keep exploring, keep feeling, and keep reconnecting with the wholeness that's already within you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.